Well, this is just to show you that there is perhaps an argument to be made for a semi-last frontier, but the last is definitely in quotes here, as you can see. So first of all, a little bit of history, just to set a context for this talk. The electromagnetic spectrum is, in a sense, finite if you limit yourself to consideration of those parts of the spectrum that have, say, communications utility. There's actually a very, very precious band that extends roughly from 300 megahertz to a few gigahertz, which is the sweet spot for kilometer-scale terrestrial wireless communications. And what's fascinating to me is that the useful parts of the spectrum were already identified and initial explorations were made into them before the beginning of the 20th century. We have, of course, good old Heinrich Hertz, who proved that Maxwell was right, that electromagnetic radiation was possible. And he worked with frequencies in the 50 to 500 megahertz range in the late 1880s. He probably would have gone farther, except he died at the age of 36, reportedly from an infected tooth. So those of you who delay going to see the dentist, take that lesson to heart. Another gentleman whose name you might know, whose picture is not rendered for some odd reason here, is Guglielmo Marconi. Marconi arguably did not invent much technology, but he made a very concerted effort to turn wireless into a business. And in the process, he did discover some fundamental utility of wireless. For example, most physicists of the time, because they understood electromagnetic radiation was just like light, they felt that communication beyond the horizon was impossible, because light would travel in straight lines. Marconi was not a good physicist. He did not know about this. And he just kept on increasing the distances, and they kept on working. So the physicists were wrong. So Marconi made a very useful contribution there, but he worked mainly on the lower end of the frequency band. His highest frequencies were the low end of what Hertz had already done. And he actually extended signals way down to extremely low frequencies, 50 kilohertz. And in fact, it was with that frequency, or roughly within a factor of 2 of that frequency, that in 1901 he spanned the Atlantic Ocean with wireless. Around the same time that Marconi was getting started, one of your countrymen, Jagadish Chandra Bose, was experimenting with millimeter wave communications. A really remarkable achievement. He was 50 to 60 years ahead of everyone else on Earth. And he did this in 1895 to 1897, demonstrated the wireless control of explosives. He actually blew up gunpowder from a distance. He rang a bell from a distance. All of this was done in a public demonstration in the mid-1890s. So here we have, before the dawn of the 20th century, coverage from 50 kilohertz to 50 gigahertz. And the rest of the story of the 20th century was really about the exploitation of these frequency bands. Starting around the late 1950s, 1960s, mainly because of the needs of radio astronomers trying to investigate what's happening in the outer reaches of space, they had a need for studying frequencies beyond 50 gigahertz. There's lots of information you can glean about the evolution of our universe from looking at energies in the hundreds of gigahertz range. So the technologies were driven mainly by the radio astronomy community. And what we have found is that now people have discovered uses that are closer to home for this technology. And that's what the rest of this talk is really concerned with. And we'll see that there are many, many unsolved problems. So there's plenty of work for bright PhD students and others who are interested in contributing to this new frontier. So first of all, let me start with a bunch of applications for terahertz electronics that may be unfamiliar to you. It turns out that energies in the terahertz region have penetrating power, much like X-rays, but without cell damage. Terahertz radiation is actually too low in energy to break chemical bonds. And if you believe that cancer can only be caused by chemistry, then the fact that terahertz energies cannot induce chemical changes means it cannot be carcinogenic. So it's a safe way of looking through opaque objects. You can look through skin, detect skin cancers before they become life-threatening. You can detect other kinds of medical conditions benignly. We can measure things. Inorganic objects, we like to do quality control in manufacturing. There's defect testing, that kind of thing that we like to do. Today, X-rays is the only way of doing many of these things, but terahertz energy gives us an additional range of frequencies with which to probe opaque objects. Medicine is very interesting. We'd like to be able to do some spectroscopic analysis on samples to see, is this pharmaceutical properly prepared? Is this the right chemical? Are we delivering the right prescribed medicine to the patient? You can discover these things very inexpensively with terahertz technology. You can monitor environmental pollution. You can just aim a terahertz receiver at a smokestack in a factory, and you can detect in real time whether or not that smokestack contains very harmful chemicals, and you can immediately react to that information. Whereas today, it's a very slow process. You have some sampling operation. A guy fills a bottle with a bit of gas from the smokestack. He drives it to a laboratory in some regional facility, and then maybe a few days later they say, you know what, horrible amounts of poisonous toxins were released in the environment last week. Too bad. This way we can do this in real time and really improve the monitoring and health conditions. For defense applications these days, in the post-9/11 world, everyone's concerned about terrorism and security. And terahertz energies allows us to do something which does make people nervous in terms of privacy concerns. For example, it's called the virtual strip search, where you can see whether or not this person has some malintent. You can see now hidden inside the newspaper is a plague. So that's sort of the civil defense part of the terahertz proposition. But there are also these medical applications. For example, today, most children simply get rotten teeth and then they fall out. Or you go to the dentist and you fill it up and it hurts too much. And that's really a very poor, slow, reactive modality that humans have been doing for countless millennia. Well, we might be able to change that. We might be able to detect a cavity before it kills the tooth, and then do something about it, save the tooth. Today, it's not practical to do this because you can only see through the tooth with x-rays, which themselves carry a risk. So you don't want to routinely scan teeth with x-rays. But terahertz energy gives us sufficient resolution to see the details that are relevant, but without the dangers associated with x-rays. So terahertz is a wonderful band of frequencies with these miraculous properties, and yet we don't have good technologies to allow us to enjoy these potential benefits. Some of the other possibilities that might be enabled if you can solve these problems. We might actually be able to build terahertz cameras. The dream of my group is to have something that's the same form factor as a cell phone camera, but it happens to be sensitive to terahertz energy. So you could have the entire planet deploy these medical devices. It doesn't have to be a special $1 million piece of equipment that is tended to by MDs and PhDs in only the richest parts of the world. This can be deployed in ordinary nurses' offices and those kinds of structures. For those of you who are interested solely in wireless communications, the terahertz band also offers some exciting possibilities. If you just consider a narrowband topology, in which we'll define arbitrarily narrowband to be 10% today. 10% of 1 terahertz is 100 gigahertz.